ladies and boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Turbo coin, right? Probably noticed a few less uploads in recent times. And that's because we had to go and get ourselves a brand new computer. Had to pack a punch, but here we are. It is beautiful. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is beautiful. Might make a short on it, but anyways, listen. Let's talk about Turbo because that's the main thing. In terms of news, nothing has really come out. The only thing Turbo has been doing in the last day or so, consistent posts, which is what we love to see, right? What we love to see. They even shouted out July 4th, shout out to the Americans. Obviously, this video is a day later, but still, right? It is good to interact with all cultures. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I guess there's also some news regarding, right? Turbo locked products up to 48% APR in rewards. Okay. So if you want to do that, that is amazing, right? That is actually really, really good. Really, really good. So if you are on this platform, then you can definitely make a few percent of your turbo in just 30 days because this gives you 48% of what you put in a year, right? So that's going to be roughly a couple percent per month. So you could just make free money. You really, really could. Because I really doubt, Turbo is going to peak in a month. I mean, I know it's not going to peak in a month. So you should be fine. Obviously, make sure to read everything so there's no little trick or scam or anything. Doubt there's going to be a scam, but, sometimes they are a little tricky with the locks and everything. So anyways, let's just jump right into it. So we can see Turbo is rank 163 at 0.0035 price, practically 36, 250 million market cap. And ladies and gentlemen, right? Lowest volume I've probably ever seen it at 19 million, which is fine because it is the weekend after all, right? As this loads, we will actually look at what someone has said. We're nowhere near the top yet. The rainbow chart says it all. Bitcoin is still in the middle of the bands, far from those at overheated zones, past cycle topped out, plenty of room left for the cycle. So, showing this because a lot of people are asking me, well, how do you think Bitcoin's going to do? Now, I don't really use the rainbow thing, but I do know it is pretty effective, generally speaking. I know overall Bitcoin still has some months to go at the bare minimum, which means, of course, altcoin season will not be happening within the next few months, but that doesn't mean we can't slowly start going up. We can see that we're almost at 56,000 followers. Sorry, not followers, holders, right? Only roughly 90 away, which is what we love to see. Just a week or two ago, we're like the lowest we were in a month or so, and now we're continuously going up, which is what we love to see, right? We want Turbo to grow when it's going sideways, when it's going down, because that means there's a lot of demand. That means there's people having an eye on Turbo. They're seeing what Turbo is really worth, and they know, right? They know where it's going to be in a few months. I know some people are pessimistic about this altcoin season, and they're saying it's not going to happen, right? And I'm going to explain it to my Turbo viewers because I know a lot of you guys love the Turbo videos. Look, before we dive into the analysis, let me just explain something to you, okay? This is Bitcoin dominance. We've been talking on this channel practically ever since I created it that Bitcoin dominance most likely will go to roughly 70%. Now, it could go a little bit lower. It could go into 70, 72, 73. It doesn't really matter 100% getting that right. We're going to be looking for certain things. What this represents is practically when altcoins are really going to dominate, okay? And look, we've been talking about this literally since it was like at 50%, and we said it's going to go to 70 before altcoins see a huge rally. Now, doesn't mean there was no opportunities while Bitcoin dominance was going up. No, there was many opportunities to flip your bag and everything. But the real big consistent pumps are going to be when this chart dumps, okay? When this chart starts dumping, the way it started to dump here, right? Dumped a couple percent, right? It was at practically 73 and a half, dumped down to 63%, so dumped 10%. Then it was ranging, and then it went from 62% down to 40, right? That is when everything is going to go nuclear. We're going to see new records for Turbo, okay? So I know people are pessimistic about altcoin season. They're pessimistic about Turbo's performance. I'm not. I'm really, really not. Okay, because I know there's going to be a lot more money. I know there's going to be a lot of attention, a lot of bandwagon, right? There's going to be a lot of money flooding into these altcoins. So I know Turbo is going to do well. Anyways, let's just jump into the analysis. We can see the last few days, nothing crazy has been happening, right? We have been rejecting off of this zone, but we can see that we are also at another big support. So we are stuck between a support and resistance, right? If this week ends the way it ends, there's a high probability that next week we do pump very, very strong to the upside. Okay. Because this would mean the way this weekly candle ends is that this is the low, this is a higher low, and then I would expect another green candle pushing everything up. Okay. If, of course, for some reason, Sunday before the weekly candle closes sells very aggressively, then of course we will, reconsider what is going to happen. But as of right now, there is like zero confirmation that we are going to be going too much lower. Okay. Yes, there's a high chance we still go down like roughly 2 or 3%, right? Somewhere down to here. But then, there's a high probability that we do bounce up, in my opinion, because we are starting to shift, right? You can see we are starting to generally shift from diagonal selling off to now more sideways, right? I think everyone can kind of see that. So, that is usually a change and sign of a momentum shift. Okay. That is usually a change and a sign of a momentum shift. Also, if we go to the technical analysis and do something like this, we can see, right? Once we kind of break out of this, right? This trend, we have this tapping, this tapping, this tapping, this tapping. Once we just break out of it, we should be looking to go higher and higher, right? The next zones practically are going to be on the micro level 0.004, let's just say, and then a higher level is 0.0046, right? Those are the next two zones, the next two targets where I expect Turbo to kind of bounce off of, slow down a little bit. But yeah, that is ultimately it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy this. I hope you guys are still optimistic about Turbo the way I am. I know you guys do enjoy these videos. I know some of you guys have been watching for a long time. And I also know some of you guys have been holding this coin even since the beginning of 2024, and some of you late 2023. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, not a financial advisor, but based off all the data I see, I truly do believe you'll be rewarded as long as you just simply click sell when the time comes. But yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy. And this is my official goodbye. Bye bye.